today's episode, we're going to learn about how to work a lead. You know, we often hear agents say, you know, I don't like leads, they don't work. Well, you know what? That's the background. That's where it all starts. You know, the foundations of any marketing programs, it really starts with your lead generation. And today we have a pleasure having Jamie. So Jamie, thank you so much for being on today. Now, Jamie, you're a seasoned agent. I mean, how long have you been an insurance agent for now?
6 months.
6 months. So she's very new in this industry, right? So what's really good is she didn't pick up any bad habits. So that's very good, Jamie. That's very good. Well, today we're going to learn about, you know, the types of leads that are out there, you know, and the mindset, the mentality of the prospect, because that's going to help you distinguish if you're going to have that person become a client or not, right? So we're going to differentiate between internet leads, business supply mailers, lists. There's lots of different things, right? So, Jamie, if I was to ask you, you know, what have you used so far in your career? What have you used as far as lead generation?
Internet leads, business reply cards. That's pretty much it for now.
Okay, so she did a lot. So internet, right? You know, if you look at internet leads, you know, people go on the internet to look for a lot nowadays. You know, e-commerce is really exponentially growing every day because of what? Online presence. So you need to have an online presence. When people go on the internet, would you say they're really looking for something?
Always.
Always, right?
I always shop online.
So you shop online, right? So you don't just go online to waste time. You're really focused. You have something in mind to do?
I have something in mind to do. I look at it, I Google it, I find resources, and then I either purchase it or I go elsewhere.
And you go elsewhere. So you see, that's what we have to learn about. So although you might have heard different experiences or maybe you encountered certain experiences, what's very important is that you have to take those experiences and really understand what's going on and turn it around in your favor, right? That makes sense. So Jamie, think about now internet leads. So you told me you go on the internet, right? Mm-hmm. Not everybody does, but the internet is growing dramatically every single day. So you go on the internet. Now, let's look at internet leads, right? So have you ever used internet leads?
Sure.
Sure, okay. And what line of business?
Just this one.
Okay, so you sold Medicare products, you mentioned?
Correct.
Okay, so you sold to the seniors, right?
All seniors or Social Security disability, young people that are on Social Security disability, that's it.
Okay, so let's take a look at something. The internet and the senior population, right? Do you know that seniors is the largest demographic of folks on the internet today because they have plenty of time? You know, the seniors from 20 years ago weren't the seniors now. They're different. So the idea is they go on the internet to do researching, right? So now, okay, so you respond to those questions. So internet leads work. A lot of agents tell me, you know what, I buy these internet leads and all of a sudden people, they hang up on me or people say, stop calling me. Well, it depends on the type of internet leads you're working. You know, there's those so-called exclusive leads and then there's the shared leads. Remember, you get what you pay for, but internet leads work. Did you ever write up any clients from internet leads?
A lot of them.
A lot of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would you recommend our viewers to really purchase and get involved with internet leads?
Sure.
Okay, so it works for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now what about those business reply mails? You know, there's business reply mails that people fill out cards that they receive on a particular topic or some product that makes sense for them. They fill it out and send it back, right? Did you ever utilize business reply mailers,
Yes.
BRCs?
Yes.
Did those work for you?
Yes, because they remember writing them out. Because when they write them out, they remember more.
Okay, okay. So think about this now. When people go on the internet, that's like an immediate response because they go searching on the computers, they find something they like, they put their contact information, and now they're waiting for this call, and you call back and respond.
Right.
With the business supply mail, it's more of a delayed process where people review the cards, they fill it out if they're interested, and send it back to you, and then you make that call, right? So there's lots of different things. What else is there? Well, think about this, right? You also have business supply mails, internet leads. What about lists? There's many lists that are available for people, right? So calling lists is okay as long as it's scrubbed against a do not call list. That's okay, right? That's all good. You see, you're looking right now at a person to tell a story to. You know, just as the slide says, you need to tell a story because you have the leads, you have the prospects, and then they become customers. You want to make sure you have everything right for them. You see, what's very important is when you get on the phone with them, if it's business supply mails or internet leads, right, Jamie? Do people ever hang up on you?
All the time.
But they hang up, but they filled out something or they went on the internet.
Sometimes they call back.
Sometimes they call back, right?
After they hung up on you, they're like, what did you call for?
Right.
Because it regenerates in their
Right,
head.
because they're not sure.
Right.
So the idea is it's all about that story you're about to tell, and we're going to go into the story. And again, factual story. We're not flubbing anything. These are factual stories. All you need is a person to listen to your story. Remember, they started by going on the internet, right? They started by filling out a business supply mail. But here's where it all starts. They started, but you have to finish, and it's the conversation you have with people, right? You know, did you ever get on the phone and sometimes the conversation didn't go well?
No.
And sometimes they go spot on, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to make sure you know what you're doing prior to doing something like that. So you see, right now, as you can see in the slide, we're building a pipeline of prospects to turn into what? Customers, and then eventually advocates. So let's move on. Okay. So here's what we have to look at, right? The importance of alternating phone calling sessions, right? Hey, Jamie, do you know when you're going to be home?
Never.
So if I was to ask you, are you going to be home next Tuesday at 11:35?
I have no idea.
You see, that's just our point. We never know when somebody's going to be home. You know, agents say, I call up a lead. We hear this from agents across the country. You know, we call up a lead and nobody answers. We don't know when they're going to be home. You need to really start a diligent regimen of when you're going to be calling. You can't just call in the mornings because are you home only in the mornings? Are you only home in the afternoons? We never know. With today's busy lifestyles, we never know when we're going to be home or not, right? So what we need to do is schedule a regimen of calling in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the evenings. It's cycleizing. You see, the more you start to cycleize your business, the better your business will grow. Don't take those personal phone calls where they hang up. Don't take it personal. It doesn't matter. You see, there was something wrong. How did you sound on the phone, right? Sometimes you're on, sometimes you're not, right? That's human nature. It's just the way we are. You want to try to be spot on all the time, but sometimes we can't be. So you want to make sure your conversations are always spot on, but most importantly, regiment your day. Have calling sessions where you rotate. You're calling in the mornings, you're calling in the afternoons. You should be rotating during the course of the day because we never know when somebody's home. The idea is a solution is to utilize an alternating calling time sequence. Just like you see, we never know when somebody's going to be home, so you need to what? Alter the way you make calls, right? Makes sense, right? Jamie, do you make calls, you know, at different points during the course of the day?
Yes.
Right? And do you see a difference in alternating calls? You know, if you call only in the morning, only in the afternoon, if you alternate calls, do you see a difference in your production?
Sure. Some seniors work today, so they're either home in the late afternoon or they're home in the morning and then they're going to work, so they work a couple hours a day, so it just depends on when you hit them, and then they tell you call back at a certain time.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, they're home at that time.
Right, right. So you see, this is important. Nobody goes on the internet and says, call me up at 12:32.
Yeah.
Nobody fills out a business supply card and says, call me up at 6:15. We don't know. Here's the message I want to bring to you, folks. Don't ever get discouraged. They filled out a card, they went on the internet, but they still don't know you who is calling. So when you call them, you have to sound right on the phone. It's very important. Don't take it personal if they hang up on you. Something was wrong somewhere. We need to examine it. Hey, let's move on. Now, we need to also alternate your appointment sessions. So if you take your calling sessions and your appointment sessions, they have to be also what? We have to cycleize those too. What we want to do is, how do we maximize your workload, right? We want to make sure you make as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time, right? Because time is money, especially in an insurance agent's life, right? In our lifestyle, right? You don't get paid a salary, you work on commission, so you got to make it very efficient, right? So if you alternate your calling sessions and alternate what? Your actual appointment sessions. So let me give you the following. So Jamie, do you make calling sessions? If you called, let's say Monday morning, you make calls. What do you do in the afternoon?
Going on appointments.
Going on appointments. And wouldn't you rotate on the Tuesday? Would you go on appointments in the morning and then call in the afternoon?
Sure.
So you're alternating. In other words, you need to change. You need to mix it up, because the more you mix it up, the more you're going to get to those people who we don't know what time they're going to be home, right?
Right.
Has that worked since you implemented that? Has it worked out better for you?
Absolutely.
Another thing, when you're doing your scheduling of appointments, what you want to look at is, how do you take these appointments to maximize? Hey, let's face it, there's a lot of types of products that you can enroll online, but in case you have products that don't, you need to maximize your appointments. What do I mean by that? Work specific counties or areas on a given day. the first phone calls, the first appointments you make on that Monday, start to organize the rest of your week. Well, if you're going from A county, well, make that on Tuesdays. If you're going to B county, well, you might make that on Wednesdays in the afternoons. The idea is you need to alternate your appointments and alternate your calling sessions. Now, by alternating your calling sessions and alternating your appointment sessions, has that brought a new life to your business?
Yeah, you can do more appointments if you group them on the counties.
Right, so that
So
helps.
instead of
right?
driving an hour away from each appointment.
Okay. One important thing to do too is, how many of you have ever been, you rang the doorbell, then at home, right? It really is a pain in the neck. You don't like that feeling. Always double book. Always double book appointments, because you know what, stuff happens. Did you ever get anybody who you showed up, you went there and they weren't there?
No.
No, because you practice something else, right?
I call them before when I'm on my way.
You called before. You see, the idea is this. You know why people aren't there for you? Because they don't feel the importance of you showing up. You know, think about this. Would you ever not show up for a doctor's appointment?
No.
No, you would, because it's important, right? You need to bring the importance of why you're coming to an appointment, and then they're never going to miss it. But, just in case, double book. It doesn't matter, because you could always run late. You see, I'd rather you be in control of your day than having that prospect be in control of your day. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. Now, when you get on the phone with people, right, you see, what we got to look at is GTOA. Well, we need to make sure when we talk to people, it's a customer service follow-up call. So, Jamie, tell me about that customer service follow-up call, that whole method, that whole mindset. What's that all about?
Well, when you say it's a customer service follow-up call, people aren't looking that you're selling them something. They just want to make sure everything's taken care of. You know, you're following up with them. They want to make sure that they're comfortable with you. So it's not a sale as soon as you call them up.
Gotcha. So by having this customer service follow-up call, let's set the premise. First, they went on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, or they filled out a business supply card. They did the initiative. They started the action. So now when we get back to them, well, you got to make sure it's a customer service follow-up call. It's got to be casual. You know, one important thing, I see this from insurance agents across the country too, they're desperate for an appointment. That's no good. You know, desperation doesn't help you sell. So when you call up on the phone, you have to be casual. It's just a customer service phone call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you say that, are they apprehensive, the prospects?
Sometimes they are.
Sometimes, but they're, for the most part, are they listening?
They're listening because they know somewhere they filled something out or they signed up online and typed it in. So they want to know, what are you going to help them with?
Right, what are you going to help them with, right? And remember, they filled out a card, like Jamie said. They started it. But you know, when you have this customer service phone call and you start the conversation, because there has to be a dialogue, right? You have to see if you can help them, and they have to feel that you can help them also, right? So just remember the acronym GTOA. Well, number one, you have to what? Get their attention. You need to get their attention on the phone first. You need to make sure they understand, and then you need A, to attract their curiosity. You can't just be calling them because they have nothing to do all day. I just figured I'd call you up. No. You filled out a card about getting additional coverage for whatever product may be. I just want to make sure you've been taken care of. You're attracting their curiosity. And then you're going to tell a story, a valid story, not fictional, valid stories. Like, you know, a lot of people are telling me, you know, with that plan or without that plan, they're really succumbed to lots of financial responsibilities. But with these products that you're eligible for, it can help you. And then you have to make this incredible offer. You know, I have to tell you, based upon the information you shared with me today, I can help you save money. Save money or give you more comprehensive coverage. Is that what the people are looking for?
All the time.
And then most importantly, that big A that you see there for appointment. You need to set those appointments. Now, Jamie, you know, why is it so important for an agent to set that appointment on that first phone call, not delay and call them back? Why?
Because it's hard to get them back on the phone.
Yeah, it's hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. How hard was it for our viewers to get somebody on the phone the first time? And then you want to get them on the phone the second time? Agents tell me, hey, it's hard, they don't pick up their phone. When you have them, you better make sure you share the story and make that appointment. And then guess what? After that, when you set the appointment, then you can do your research. If it makes sense for them, that product, if you feel it will help them, you're going on the appointment. If not, what do you do, Jamie? Call them, right?
And tell them that there's nothing really, they're on the right plan, and it's good for them.
Imagine that. You're being honest. What credentials does that bring to you when you share with them you're in good hands? Think about that, right? It's a good feeling.
Right.
You like to have the new customer, but if you can't because they're okay, that's fine, because then they're going to what?
Refer you.
Refer you. You see, that's important, folks. You have to think about this. Not everybody can you write up on a product, but everybody can refer you if you show sincerity, if you show you're professional in what you do and that you are not hard up for a sale. Don't ever do that. It's no good. Let's move on. Now, very important, CTD. You see this, folks? Content, tone, and delivery. How do you talk on the phone is very important. How are you talking to somebody on the phone? The content, well, what's the subject matter? What product are you offering people? So let's say you're offering an annuity and you're speaking to a 10-year-old. There's a disconnect there. It's not right, right? But let's say, Jamie, you sell Medicare products, right?
Correct.
So you want to talk to people who are turning 65 or over 65, right?
Right.
And I understand there are some people who are under 65 because of medical situation that they're on, right?
Right.
But for the most part, you want to talk to the senior population, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're talking to the senior population. So the content has to be about Medicare health insurance, not under 65 health insurance, right? Because that makes sense. So the content we know is there, so you get the picture. Talk the products that make sense for their genre, right? That's what it has to be. Next thing is the tone. How do you talk to people on the phone? Well, if I was sharing this on the video today and I said to you, hello folks, welcome to the show today, I think I'd put you to sleep, right? Right, Jamie?
Yeah.
So it's all about the tone. Make sure you're upbeat, because remember this one thing. DDS, dead don't sell, folks. All right? We're not an infomercial, we're not a used car dealer commercial, but what we are is alive. You have to show energy, because people like to buy energy, and that's what it's all about. So the idea is, do you see, when you're talking to certain people, right? Do you talk low to them now?
No, I talk like I want to really help them. That's what they want to hear. That
So
you're very into helping them save money.
So you're sincere. You're sincere in what you do, so that's important, right? So you see, folks, now let's look at something else. When you're talking about this tone, suppose you get somebody, there's different types of people out there, and on different episodes we'll teach you about that. But the idea is some people are very open, right? They're the life of the party. Some people are very quiet, they're introverts. Some people are very dominant. You need to make sure you talk to those people in the right way. If you're talking to somebody dominant and you're talking to very low, they're probably going to hang up the phone on you.
All the time.
Right? All the time. So if a person gets on the phone, they're dominant, well, you need to speak how?
Dominant.
Dominant, right? That's it. You got to match what they are. If a person's the life of the party, they love to just chat all over the place, you need to control them, right? I mean, did you ever get people like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to control these people, reel them in. The quiet people, you can't talk loud to them. You got to talk like they do. So the idea is you have to take the content and match it to the tone of the people, right? And very importantly is, as you see, that D for delivery. It's the delivery and how you speak to people. So, did you ever get people who call you on the phone, they got ums? You can't do that. All those pauses in the conversation, it doesn't work. I mean, do you have pauses in your conversations?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, right? And when do you have pauses in the conversation? Why do you think that happens?
I don't know what plan they're on. They're not being clear. It's hard to get information out of them. They tell you one thing, and then halfway through the conversation, they're like, "Oh, I have this other plan," and you're like, well, "I just asked you 5 minutes ago," but they forget. It's you have to remember they forget sometimes. Right,
exactly. So what Jamie is bringing up is, this whole delivery. It's about learning about the people. A lot of companies, what they do is they have these fact-finding missions. Depending on your line of products that you offer, it's not always about, it's fact-finding, but don't turn that fact-finding into a long, drawn-out process. Keep it simple, folks. Learn about what the needs are for the people, right, Jamie? Learn about what the needs are, and find the product that matches the needs. Now, don't forget with Gatoa, you're making that appointment, right? You're making that appointment. And if you feel you can't help them because they're on the right plan, what are you doing?
And just tell them I can't help you right now. Stay on your plan, and we'll check back at another time.
At another time, right? So you see, this whole delivery has to be very fluid. It's what are you bringing to me? How are you saying it? And the overall delivery of the product, right? And that can make the difference between becoming productive and not, right?
Right.
So always remember CTD, content, tone, and delivery, right? So you have this content, tone, and delivery down, right? You know your products, right? Make sure you understand your products. Know what products make sense. Because when you're speaking to somebody, you have to make sure you know what their needs are. You know, you're an expert in your products. The person you're speaking to, the prospect, is not, right?
Right.
So think about this. You need to turn around this whole conversation where you're looking for the people that you could help. Think about that. You know the type of people that you could help. And if they don't fit that mold, you already know this, right? You know that. You see, we don't need talking, an hour on the phone, because if you know they don't fit the criteria of people that fit your products, well then why are we having this conversation? We want you to always be personal. We want you to be courteous and professional at all times. But you don't have to waste your time. Remember, your time is very valuable, right, Jamie?
Oh, yeah.
So in our finalization of this whole episode here today, what can you tell in your experiences? What can you share with our viewers? What's some pointers that you can share as far as working leads?
If you call, you be honest with the people, you give them all the different scenarios, you keep the appointments, you're friendly to them, you bring a mug with you, and you just give them all the information, and they're very, very happy.
And remember something, right? I know that you practice something called know before you go. And what kind of closing ratio do you have?
100%.
100%. How about you? Do you go on 100 appointments and have 100 applications written? Because that's what you do, right?
Right.
You see, once you know before you go, it's not about wasting time. It's about knowing before you go. And in your business, you need to know your doctors, right?
Your
Hospitals and medicines, right? And that's kind of easy to get because people know that nowadays, right? And then what do? Once you have all the information, you plug it into the systems, and then you're ready to go.
I put into Lead Advantage Pro, everything comes up. I have all my hospitals, medications, and doctors, and it's easy because when I go there to sign them, we're just going to sign the papers. That's it.
That's a good feeling, right, folks? So look, I just want to share with you again, ITN is really here to help you and your business grow. We really like to hear from you. So any comments, any questions, or any topics you want to hear about, please write into us. We are always here for you. So I want to thank you all for coming. Jamie, I wish you all continued success in your endeavors. And look, you're in the business for 6 years. I know you'll be from another, 6 months. I'm sorry. Oh, pardon me. I wish you many, many years to come because you're doing very well.
I can't wait.
Yeah, congratulations. So thank you, viewers. And again, thank you for being part of ITN. We'll see you in the next episode.